asshole. should be able to fit the rest of your vehicle stuff as well. Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's good. I mean, that saves you the shit from having to go out there, and then you can take care of the rest of it later. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Alright, welcome. I mean, I get it. Just sometimes you need like specific vehicles or just an extra hand to be like, hey, I can do this or this. And, yeah. Yeah, I think it'll work out that way. I know I'm working from 10 to 2 tomorrow, so I'll definitely be busy in the evening. I know. But hey, enjoy your weekend. Well, at some point, I'm in the middle of a live stream right now. Complete with that. Yeah, like when you were calling. I have the be back screen on right now, but to talk with you, I have to turn the camera off. But yeah, no, I'm doing that side. I will have to do something. Definitely, either. I mean, maybe you have to turn notifications on. Oh. I don't want people I know besides my close friends to know directly that I do this. If that makes sense? Yeah, that's true. But I'll keep them out. I mean, I do have a Facebook page for, when I did the stream and all that. But I can definitely post on Instagram and YouTube. Yeah, because I was going to say I do have an Instagram page dedicated for me. So. Well, yeah. Okay, hello. Sorry about that. I was getting a phone call and I had to answer it. That is why you couldn't hear me for a bit. And I thought I had my microphone muted for a little longer, but I don't think I did. So now I can get back to it. I definitely have to make some more brick later, but I'm trying to use up what I have in my little weird pile. Very low audio. Let me fix that then. Could have disconnected my device at some point. Is why. Yeah, my sound is back to being super low. Okay, that should be better. I put it back to 95. It dropped it down to like 73. I don't know why. My computer just does that randomly, probably whenever I disconnect the microphone. I will have to make that a part of the sound check before I actually start the streams. Okay, I'm going to have to make some more brick sprue later. Or at some point tonight. Because I've used up most of what's good. I don't want to make a tall wall, but... I'm glad the sound's better. But I hope everyone is enjoying their weekend. I have been busy with work, trying to make that money so that when we're a bit slower, I can actually take some time off. I'd like to take some time off this winter and actually focus more on the channel and grow it. Nice that you got your 2 armies all ready. And good evening, Fat Man Kitchen. Hope you're enjoying your evening. Yeah, that's a pretty good discount to get some models at. I haven't bought any more models yet, but I am saving for when I have to go get that Kill Team box at my local store. It comes at the end of the month, so I am gonna assume it is like 170 most likely. Like big Kill Team box like that come in that range, so. I don't know how tall I want to make this wall. Realistically, if it's supposed to be like a wall that protects people, it should... Now, I know humans are smaller than Space Marines, but it should be like that tall, and that is a lot of brick to lay down, and I think I'll do something smaller. I don't see any Blood Angel stuff at my local Warhammer store. I see it at my like local game store. There's like some Sanguinor models and direct Blood Angel stuff. They have like a combat patrol for Blood Angels, which I think is a downgrade from what they had. But I got my own problems with like Space Marine combat patrols and all that. Okay, I think I gotta make some more bricks. I definitely want to see how those tanks turn out. I would love to see some pictures of when they're finally done. Really, of like anyone's models, I would love to see finished models. Every time I look at someone else's posts and stuff like that, I get new ideas and inspiration to try different stuff. I know last stream someone said that I should like split up my army because I have so many models and I want to do different stuff. I'll have to check it out in the Discord. But yeah, I started going through my own personal models and be like, I want these to be Dark Angels. I want these to be the Salamanders. And started going through and I'm like, yes, I like this idea. I'll keep doing it. I have enough to, I think, do like 3,000 for each one. I just have a bit of a tough time because I'm like, I want the Terminators to be Dark Angels, but at the same time, like, maybe I should have them as the Salamanders, and the only Terminators for Dark Angels be the Deathwing models. Deathwing, I think it's Deathwing. Why am I doing that? It doesn't really matter. Is that wall far enough? Yeah. I think that'll work. Put like a couple loose bricks here. Maybe a few more. Definitely some more over here. I'm definitely got to put something up on the wall here. I will say, compared to using the texture paste, worked a lot better than my sand method last time. I like the way it feels. I like the way it looks. It's definitely a product I will be continuing to use. And I could have gotten one in like the sand paint style, but I have a desert-based paint and I want to use that up while I can. I want to get better at sculpting with green stuff. I'm impressed if, and so you being able to like make some grots out of green stuff is pretty impressive to me. The best that I can do is like the little intestines on this Tyranid here, and I tried making like a green stuff hood once. I always use way more green stuff than I initially planned to. But I like to get better at sculpting it so I can make some like hoods and cloaks, and I know some people even make purity seals out of them. It'd be really nice because I love to throw purity seals on my minis. Yeah. I think I could also get some like those clay sculpting tools. Not that I would really need them. It'd be just better than using a stick. And definitely when I've messed with clay a few times, it'd be nice to have like an actual sculpting thing. Yeah. I feel like the green stuff wouldn't stick to the sculpting tools as much. I'm happy to be at this desk doing this again. think I'll be able to get a good amount done tonight. In reality, by tonight, I should have this finished. I say that as a very hopeful, optimistic person. I am actually going to scoot over to my Discord and take a look at it. Oh, that's a cool tank. I'm just looking at the post you sent now. I love the use of all the little bits and stuff on it. I thought this was like an actual model, but I love that you actually cobbled together your own little tank. It's so cool. That's what I love about this hobby. You can just take this, depending on your faction, you can take like whatever bits you find around and make stuff. I've seen, I think it was Mishmash. He made like a walker for like guardsmen using an old paint pot and stuff. And I'm like, that's a really good idea. I love that idea. I have a rhino that I initially wanted to use for my Space Marines. Found out I can't use them with all my Primaris ones. I think besides the Phobos armor, but then I don't really even know. And now I'm like, well, what army can I like use them with? And I might try to tweak it. I'm either going to use it with the Custodes, which is just, I'd have to paint it, or I might turn it into a Chimera and use it in the Guard army. I think that would be fun. Because my biggest thing with most of my armies is just transport. I think I have a lot of very slow armies. Through the very boring, tedious process of this. Actually, I want that to stay curved. I didn't really have any... Nah, I was going to say I didn't really have any time to reach out to any of my other co-hosts, but I didn't really reach out to them anyways. I enjoyed last stream it just being myself and chat here, talking and going through it, so... Figured see if it went as well as the last time. Although I do get a good case of the yaps. I will get on a tangent and just talk for talk's sake and be a little much. Okay, got a few more bits. Honestly, that is a good question. I don't know how to explain it. I'm just kind of going with a gut feeling on what I think will look good and what I want to see and kind of picturing it. So in my mind, how I'm looking at this is these two Space Marines are going through and they just finished a battle, or they're going through and they're cleaning up a bunch of Tyranids that went through. So they're walking through like where some guards might have been stationed, and they're looking at the destruction that the Tyranids left behind and are just coming into support, like the Cadians or the Catachans or whatever. So I'm just like kind of thinking about the old trenches during World War I and World War II and how those kind of looked. Kind of also imagining Trench Crusade, thinking about some of the Warhammer books that I've listened to. So I'm like using a visual guide to try and place things that might work. So it's like, would there be a stone wall here that they use as fortification to hide behind? Was there a building here? Was this and that? I don't know if that really helps with explanation, but it's just like trying to pull some sort of image from in my head and bring it to life. Like, I don't have a perfect guardsman model here, but I'll use the skeleton here as an example. If he wasn't on his base, do I got one that's not on the base? I got a Terminator here that's not on the base. I'm just trying to make something that, whether they're standing or they're most, in reality, in my mind, like leaning behind. And also, whenever I've like made stone walls myself, not with just basing, but in like reality, or when they lay down sandbags, they usually taper a little bit toward the top. So that is what I'm just doing with here. I don't know. Does that explain it? Probably not the best way, but that's just how I'm going to explain it for myself. I mean, if I'm normally basing a model, I look at the model and I also kind of think about, because I have like all these different armies, and in my mind I picture all these armies fighting on the same battlefield. So I try to make a very similar looking base through all of them. I don't know, one example here, I guess I'll use the skeleton as an example. I don't have a Sigmar, Age of Sigmar army yet, but for this guy, I was just thinking maybe he was fighting the, I'm trying to remember, it's either the Horse Riders or just like the normal humans in like the Age of Sigmar. Say they're just battling on some like volcanic ashy battleground. They went through and just kind of won a battle. So this is like the helmet of one of the regular humans that this skeleton's standing over. I'm going to be interested to see how that turns out for you. It's not a bad idea. I like that idea. Especially, I don't know, I'm thinking of like freebooters when you say build it from scratch, because I don't know how much they actually talk with other orcs. So maybe a lot of their stuff is from scratch. I know freebooters are normally mercenaries used by other races. You know, I do have some spare orc bits from a model that I'm not going to use, and I am more than willing to send them away. They're like sword bits, the body of the orc, because I've not even built it. I'm probably going to keep like the orc dragon. It's an Age of Sigmar model, but it would definitely work for any particular army. That is going pretty nicely. I don't know if I'll go any taller than that. See how it looks compared to... I think that's a good height for a brick wall. I was not expecting it going that tall, but that works. I'd say that's a hasty built brick wall right there. I like that idea. Mishmashing all the different clans together. I'm going to be doing that with my two armies. Now I've decided that I'm going to be doing a Salamander and Dark Angels. I've already started building a story in my head of like, why do these two work together, and like, how well do they actually work together? Yeah, no, I'm keeping that in mind while I'm doing this. Like, this skeleton is more close to a guardsman height, and if I put this at like the base of there, that's to the waist of the skeleton right there. So I do know Space Marines are super tall, and if it was like a Space Marine fortification, I would have done sandbags. This is a human fortification that the Space Marines came upon. That's how I'm thinking about this. And I'm going to just do a couple either fallen down bricks or bricks that didn't really get piled up quite yet. I should at some point take all the sprues I have and cut them up into brick lengths. Because I have a very ambitious idea, and I'm going to grab it real quick. I want to take one of these MDF train pieces, and on some of them you can see there's like a brick pattern they have on it, but I want to take a bunch of sprue brick and glue it onto it and then paint it to actually make it look like a proper brick building. But that would be a process. That's a very big process. Yeah, I used to have a plastic bag full of sprues, and then when I moved, I tossed it out because I'm not going to keep it. I kept a couple sprues that still have like arm bits and stuff on them, and I've been using those for such a thing. Okay, I need to test and see how this is looking. Trying to... I would have not done this and made it look like a circular piece if I knew that bodies were going to be just terrain. I would have made this connected. And I don't want to repaint this. So there is going to be a little bit of a gap. I think once I have it close, I might paint it. Oh, no, there. Okay. I'll deal with the gap there. It fits well there. I think I might lay some more brick up here. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'll do a little bit. It won't be as tall. Damn, in reality, if I didn't have this base here, and I just did this as a guardsman diorama, they would sit here. But because I'm going to use this, I won't make it as tall, but it will be still like a semi-tall one. Okay, I gotta cut some more sprues. Yay! No, it's fine. I don't mind it. It's a little mindless activity. But, how is everyone enjoying their weekend? I know some of you are probably working on projects here and there, and if you have warmer weather, I hope you're outside enjoying it. It is warm where I am right now, and I am able to enjoy the sunny sunny weather, I don't go super pale in the winter, but I used to get like almost bronze tan, and I'm definitely getting quite a bit of a tan right now. I'm glad you're doing pretty well, Fat Man's Kitchen. I was gonna say with myself today, after I got done with work, I helped a friend of mine move out of his apartment today and put it in a storage locker for him. He's moving out of his current apartment. He hasn't even been there a year, but he's moving out because him and his girlfriend are getting a dog, and the landlord is like, nope, no dogs whatsoever, no exceptions. So luckily enough, they got a spot from a friend of theirs. They're able to stay until like the end of summer. But I helped him move into that apartment, and now I've helped him move out of it. Like I said earlier, other than myself working doing that, went through and tried to find stuff for that cosplay I talked about last stream, and I can get most of the outfit. I did some research and trying to see like what Inquisitor and Commissars looked like. I don't think I can find the proper hat, or at least I won't be happy with any of the hats that look like Commissar, but definitely can do an Inquisitor. Just gotta find my jacket. It's the last really big bit I have that is clothes-wise to find. Then it's just making like some battle armor if I want to be like a battle Inquisitor or stuff like that. Just the small stuff. Right there, that's what I'm looking for. It's like while I'm going through the Eisenhorn books, the Eisenhorn books describe his outfit and food so much in detail. I'm like, kind of getting hungry just listening to this book. Or I'm like, that seems like a really doable fit. I think I can do that. But I started listening to the Eisenhorn books because I wanted to learn more about the Yellow King. And I thought the Eisenhorn books supposedly talk about the Yellow King at some point. Hasn't been mentioned yet, but there's definitely like a pattern to Eisenhorn's life in the books, from what I'm finding out. I'm not going to spoil it because people should go listen to those books. They're good books, but I would almost treat it like the Caiaphas Cain books, where listen to it every once in a while. Like, listen to a Commissar Cain or Eisenhorn book. Yeah, I don't know much about the character of the Yellow King. I don't want to spoil anything because it's kind of a plot line in one of the books, and supposedly his name has been revealed in it. But it's from what I understand, a character in the warp that is collecting a bunch of blanks and I think psychers and like space marines from different chapters. It hasn't been mentioned yet in any of the books, but I've heard about him in like while listening to Warhammer lore videos, and he pops up in like those, and I'm like, I want to know more, and found out that the Eisenhorn books are where he kind of gets mentioned, so I think he's more near the end of it. But I have no idea. I don't know much more than that. Well, I do know more, but I'm not going to say anything because people should go listen to the books or do the research themselves. I don't want to be a big spoiler and stuff. Maybe. I don't know what that word means. I'm going to have to copy that and give myself definition. Parallelly? Parallel. That's what the word is. Oh, King in Yellow. That's what I'm trying to talk about. Not Yellow King. King in Yellow. That's what I'm trying to learn more about. That's why I started the Eisenhorn books. This is kind of what happens. Like, I get information and it either gets compressed into like the basic information, but I will have to keep that in mind while I'm trying to research about it. I don't know. Okay. Hopefully that doesn't happen to me in real life. I don't want to go crazy. Oh, is that an SCP thing, the King in Yellow? So I might have heard about that too. I know there's a lot of stuff with SCP that's like... I know SCPs are very popular, and I've heard about some of them. I have very limited knowledge. I have like beginning of the iceberg knowledge. Okay, yeah, it's different than the one in Warhammer. It might be similar. Like, maybe they're going off that same idea. I don't know much more than, like, what I've said about it. It's just been mentioned, and it's a plot line that 40K has that they can either update on sooner or later. But I have no idea. I'm on the third book for like Eisenhorn, and it isn't mentioned yet. But I could see like eventually like why certain things are being connected. Okay. How much more can I take? I haven't read any of like Lovecraft's books and stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of horror in general when I was younger. Nowadays it's a little bit different. I'm in a very grimdark, can-be horror like setting. At least that's what my interest is right now. But I also have to be careful because like I can listen to too much of it and it affects my brain chemistry in a way that I just start becoming too paranoid. It's like very easy for me to get paranoid about stuff. Like I am a superstitious person. I don't say certain things out loud because I believe like if you say their names, things appear or stuff like that. So I like learning about it, but I have to like pace myself. Because I've listened to some like good horror stories about like the woods and stuff, and it's now affected how I go into the woods. And I used to go on like walks and hikes by myself, and I'm like, I don't do that anymore because this could happen to me. And I'm like, oh, that ruined it for me. So, oh well. Okay, one more brick wall, and then we'll go from there. I think I'm gonna follow this curve here, and I'm only gonna have it go like that tall. Not as tall as this guy, like maybe only three bricks tall. Thinking that they could have hide behind this like a little bit because they found a hill or something here, so they need to make it as tall. And it's the hard part with cork, and it absorbs the glue so quickly. Should have laid all these bricks down before I did the paint, because I think it would have laid a lot flatter, and then the paste on top of it would have made it more realistic. Like, oh, there's some dirt that built up on it here and there. It also makes all the bricks jaggy trying to do it on the paste. I'm stuck to my own creation. It doesn't want to let go. I don't know. Do you have any like book recommendations, chat? Like either Warhammer or not Warhammer? Any stories or stuff that you like to listen to? I know where I'm from. I probably, when I say this author's name, it will give away where I'm from, but Stephen King's very big where I live. He has based a lot of his books around here. I think out of all of his, probably the only one I would read would be The Mist. I've seen like clips of the movie that got made, and it intrigues me definitely quite a bit. One like with the animals and creatures in it I like. I can't remember its name now, but it's like creating fake animals and creatures and stuff like that. Speculative evolution. That's the word I'm looking for. I like learning about speculative evolution, and just like with that movie being a horror movie, it just makes me think of like what type of area do these creatures actually come from to like incentivize them adapting that certain way. I have learned about All Tomorrows. I've not read the book, but I have gone through like YouTube videos explaining it. And All Tomorrows seems like a very interesting book that I should add to my collection at some point. If I remember, and this is all just off memory, it's about human evolution, or it could be about animal ones. I was going to say, like, The Future is Wild was definitely something I grew up with as a kid, and that intrigued me as well. I grew up with, like, Steve Irwin and watching dinosaur documentaries, so that all kind of has intrigued me very much. I like the hybrids that like the Jurassic Park series is going with. I don't like all of them, but I like the idea of like kind of creating your own creature. There's definitely a couple speculative evolution channels I do watch that I enjoy. I know one that's I'm listening to at the moment is about like turtles and all that. Mostly just alligator snapping turtles being on a planet. And then another one is like some guy's creation that he's been working on since like middle school about like it's got like some dinosaurs in it, but creatures from different time periods in it. Every like whenever there's a mass extinction on the planet, this thing just pulls creatures from like other or from our world and puts them on the planet to like repopulate it. But it definitely plays with the idea of like invasive species and how evolution might work for some creatures and all that. So but yeah, Ultramar's is definitely something I gotta check out or get back into again. Oh. I just kind of realized my little guy is missing. I just realized my PNG is not working. What happened to him? Oh. Crap. No, I need to do it. You know why he's not on there? Because I'm not in the Discord call. That's why he's not up there. It needs to be a browser. Oh, shoot. I deleted it for no reason. Let's see if I can remember this. Oh. Okay, I'm back. Crap. Crap. Oh. Ah! Yeah, I just undid it and now he's back. Oh, wow, I needed to remember that I have that. And why he appears. Okay. Damn, I was kind of curious, like, why does my screen look so empty? And then I realized why. Oh, God, that was on the screen for a bit. I'd like to have one stream where things don't go rocky, and they are a little bit smooth. I need to write a checklist of like everything I need to do before stream. No. Do it like that. That will be better. That will be much better. Okay. I'm doing the last layer now. I've gone higher on brick level than I initially planned. I wonder if I should do any damage to the brick walls. Like cuts or acid effects. That might look okay. I will say this is good practice for when I want to make like a little trench or something on a board. Because I don't always like playing on a flat board. I like playing with elevated heights and dips, and sometimes you can see me, sometimes I can't see you. It's more realistic in my mind. And I like that little idea. But if I do this, it's only for like my games. Like my personal games, not something that's set up for like a big like group thing. Okay. I think that's good there. Definitely gonna line this guy up here. Oop, don't. I think that looks pretty good and frames it a lot better. Now I just need to add a little bit more debris here and there. I think I'll add some more debris there. And I'm going to add, while I was up on the phone, I grabbed my 2 skull boxes. I'm definitely going to throw in a couple guardsman skulls. I might do a Space Marine one, but definitely going to throw in a couple of the Tyranid heads. I think that will add to the look of things. Brick there. And let's do some random bits and bobs. I don't want that circle piece. I want the more squared, odd-shaped rubble pieces. Those might be like good big rivets. Big circle pieces of these sprues. Just gonna dip all that in some glue. Put you in glue. You can sit right there. Get off my finger and you stay right there. You absolute fidgewodger. That is the word I'm going to use. Get off my damn finger. There. Okay. I kind of want to throw in another piece of rebar. But I don't know if I have a piece that will work well enough. Let's see, do that. That makes this sit so high. Do I gotta... Yeah. I gotta take that down. How about I'll use that somewhere else? There, that sits better. I'm happier with that. It still sits kind of high, but it's better than what it was. And let's add a few more random bits and bobs here and there. You doing well, chat? Enjoying your weekends and stuff like that? You know, I was talking to Fat Man about a couple things and all that. Okay, let's add some debris there. Stay there. Stay there and be good. I don't want to call it done yet, because I feel like I can always add more. But I'm pretty sure I'm at the point that I have to call it. Because I'm like, what else do I add? The skulls. I'm forgetting about the skulls. I literally talked about them earlier. I should add a couple of those. I'll open up this one first. I like this new skull box that GW made. It's got a lot more variety in it compared to this box. If I was to use this box, it'd be mostly for a corn army, or, yeah, definitely a corn army. Or a World Eater army. That's the other one I'm thinking of. Can I guess I just have to rip that. There we go. Although I have tried using a couple Demon Skull bits as, like, bow arms for one model. Trying to see how that might have worked, but eh. That might work. Such a big skull. I want to use a big one. A lot of little human skulls. It's the other one that has the better Tyranid ones. No, I'll save these ones for later. Later date. Let's go through you guys and see. Let's use this one. No, I'll use this one. I thought when I also grabbed this sprue that they were full heads and I could probably throw them on some Tyranids, but nope, they're slightly shaven. Okay. So it's supposed to be an Ogryn head. Kind of like that. I'm probably correct in thinking this, but would there be any skulls left over from a Tyranid fight? I don't think so.
Unlock
Oh, add.
efficiency with the song.
Okay, we're back. At least the music's back. Oh, he's got a servitor eye. That's kind of cool. I might use this head in a model. Now that I'm looking through it, he's got some good like scarring parts on him. And that would be really cool to use on a model. And there are bits for like servitor God, why am I forgetting the word? It's literally the skulls that fly around. Servo skull. The word is servo skull. That's what you're looking for. Trying to think if there's any other skulls that I want to use here. I got one Tyranid, one Guardsman. I think that is a Kriegsman head. I didn't even realize that I used one. Oh, that's the Kriegsman side. Oh, that's half the mask. Okay, and yeah, there's a mask. I haven't used any Cadian ones. I only use a Cadian one. I'm gonna do this guy. We'll do 3 skulls. Pretty sure during the battle the Tyranids would have burned their flesh. Probably part of the armor too. Put that one there. And another Tyranid head. Ooh, I can put this Tyranid head on the back side here. And I can do a bit of blood. Be like, this guy just finished killing this Tyranid. That's why he's cleaning the blood off the blade. Okay, I had a story in mind, and now I'm building the story a lot more. So it's coming together. The story is coming together. I do have a couple Guardsman arm bits. That might also sell it as well. We'll throw one skull over here in the pile. And then if I remove this guy, I want to throw... Yeah, I'll throw one over here. Not that you'll really be able to see it that well. But in my mind, he was there and then he got hit. I'm going to grab a Guardsman arm bit real quick. And we'll throw it on there as well. So give me a sec. I'm just going to stay on the ground. Okay. Do I just have a basic freaking arm? That is what I'm looking for. Okay, I have found 2 Guardsman arm bits that I will use. This one that's missing the hand, and this one that looks like it was holding something. We'll use those 2 pieces. I think for the one that's missing his hand, we'll set it like there. Give this a little bit of a cleanup. We'll get to actually painting soon. Competition piece basing is almost done. And once I have that done, I will go off to spray paint it. And then we'll spend a lot of time dry brushing and painting. Put that on there. And I feel like I should cut this hand and spin it just slightly. I'll do that real quick. There. And spin. It's not perfect, but it will work. Take a little bit of super glue and glue it down. God, this brush has been frayed from missing going into the bottle. Yeah, we'll put the arm on the back side here. There. There we go. Now let's go down. Get you out of here. I'll do it later. I was going to say I should throw down some PVA glue. At least the stuff that dries clear. Just symbolize like a glossy blood effect and all that. But for anyone curious what I am working on right now, I'm working on an art competition piece that I have until the end of June to finish. I have the models painted, but I'm working on the base they sit on. I initially started with this base here, and then found out that bodies count as terrain, so I last stream painted up this guy here. And now we're working on the bigger set for all of them to sit on. I've made these bricks. I'm laying down some random body parts here and there because my idea is that these Space Marines cleaned up a guardman's outpost that got attacked by some Tyranids. So I'm going through and doing that. I got one more head to paint. Glue down. Okay. The basing is done. I'm pretty happy with that. Add a couple skulls and heads, a couple arms here and there. Now I need to go and get this sprayed black. And then we can start actually painting it properly. Hello. I think you're Brian Baron? Is that how you say her name? Welcome to the channel. You just came in when I finished up doing the base for this piece here. And I have to go and now spray paint this guy. Yeah, I'm terrible with names. I'm going to butcher names very often. Unless it's like... I think even then, like, if it's phonetically sounded out to me, I'm still going to butcher it. But, yeah. I will have to disappear for a couple seconds to go get this spray painted. And then I will be back to get it painted. I should be no more than, like, 10 minutes. And I apologize for everyone that's just come in to, like, see this and all that. But, please bear with me. I am going to put up the Be Right Back screen. Hello. I am back. Hopefully I wasn't gone too long. Well, no, I wasn't, but it was a little, I don't know, maybe it was around that 10-minute mark, but I quickly got this spray painted, and it's a very light coat. I think it's a little tacky. I should give it a few more minutes to dry. I'm not going to dry brush it white. I'm just going to go straight to painting it with the base and stuff. So, we are going to set my other pieces over off to the side. And get other bits that I need tonight ready. So all that kind of system dries for a sec. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup. But, how's everyone doing tonight? I know I've said that a few times here and there, but I'm doing well this evening myself personally. Excited to be back here, chatting with everyone. Excited to be working on this piece as well. Just gonna slightly shut that. Okay. Now I need to figure out what brushes I'm actually going to be using for most of this. For the paints I'm using for the base, I actually got lucky at my local game store. They were selling a bunch of their old product, and one of the things they had was this desert like terrain making kit. It like came with a bunch of like paints and all that. So it came with like a spray can that you can spray the base with, like a desert and a couple desert effect paints. And they added like this metal decay one. I've used that for like the rust effect before, it's fine, and like a wash. So I'm going to be using these, mostly these 3 paints tonight, maybe a couple more for the effect. Besides the stone brick, I will use gray for most of those. With that being the case, I actually have a very cheap brush I will use for this particular effect. This came with like my airbrush a while ago, so I'll be using this brush. And should I use my wet palette? I don't think so. Good kind of shake. But I like these little train bit paints because it definitely gives me a larger bottle to use, at least for like the basing for the main color. Maybe that's something I should try, is I should like select 3 paints I don't really use at all and just use those only in like painting a piece of terrain or like a model or something like that. This is gonna work. It's gonna be a lot of that. Long and boring. Just painting all this. Probably gonna do like maybe 2 coats of this base paint on. I do want the black to show through a little bit, if possible. But not super. I don't have it super dark. I mean, as I add the more layers of paint on top, it will hide more of the black underneath. A bit better than I thought. Okay. I am going to definitely be using more of this texture paste in the future. I love how it is actually... I love how it's actually taking the paint. And I love the effect it has. I'm also very satisfied with like how the paint is looking on it as well. It's, I don't know, to me it's satisfying. That's the only word I can have it for, is just satisfying. My whole desk is jiggling just for me trying to dry brush this. I need to do something better. I apologize for all the movement that I'm causing. I can like hover my arms off the desk, I guess. I don't know what would work better. Really, I do want to get a better desk than what I'm using right now. I'm just using a folding table, but I have no space for my proper setup. I think I need to switch up the music. Every single stream I've been using the same page, but I really haven't listened to any other channels for music quite yet, so but I think I'll have to give a listen to a couple this weekend and bookmark them and do like a rotation. I know it's very easy to get bored with listening to the same stuff over and over and over again. A good glob of paint has got to be this far. It's not as thick as I'd like it, but I definitely will be adding another layer. Definitely a good sandy effect. I like it. Any of you guys working on projects? I know Fatman Kitchen in the chat earlier was talking about making a custom orc army, but it doesn't have to be just like Warhammer projects. It can be any art projects, any like just something fun or interesting that you find interesting and just want to share with people. like for myself, besides this art competition piece. I am thinking of a few others. Okay, I've said earlier in the stream, trying to find what I have already to do an Inquisitor cosplay. I have a base layer. I can do a very basic one, I think. Maybe less of like an actual Inquisitor and more of an Interrogator. Or an Inquisitor that's off duty, not really ready for battle. I'm trying to find like one more piece of like clothing I have. Just this long like duster coat that I think would work for it. I definitely want to add some sci-fi bits to the outfit once I have everything together. I think besides that, painting-wise, I got my friend's kill team that I gotta finish. It's what's sitting over here. Probably would have had those guys finished up by now, but I do want to at least submit something for what I have. Oh, excuse me. I'm gonna fall no matter what. So did a little one. Yay! I love it when my pieces do that. Oh well. It was meant to not have anything there. I should have clipped off that 69 number there. I guess Slaanesh is infecting my piece somehow. I guess this is Slaanesh is more than just the sexual desires, their excess in general. So really overeating, over-exercising, overdoing anything kind of feeds them. You know, I was thinking of doing these gardening bits in the Valhallan paint scheme, but I don't know why the Valhallan would be on a desert planet. They're not really suited. They're an ice world regiment. They would pretty much die, I think, if they got onto a desert planet. I was listening to a Kane book, and they were up in the mountains where the base was, and Kane was like trying to stay huddled and warm in his coat and stuff like that, and the Valhallans were walking around in like their summer uniform and almost like t-shirts and tank tops from the way it was described. a little bit thick there. You take that, just pull it. This is the only side that does not have anything on it. I need to at least give it a look. But for anyone new that's watching and is curious, I am working on a art competition piece right now. It's a little diorama that I have to have done by the end of the month. I got done putting all the base pieces down. I have the models themselves done. Like, this is the main model that started the whole thing, and I have a secondary one that I am working on for it. So tonight I'm just trying to work on this base. I'd like to have it finished painted tonight is my hope and goal, but we will see. I think I'll be able to get pretty good distance down. I never initially planned on being a part of any competitions or stuff like that, but I decided to step out of my comfort zone, and I'm glad I did, because I got to try something new and different, and I realized how far my skills came in just a few months of doing this whole project. I definitely want to do more stuff like it at some point. Hell, I'm even tempted of like taking commissions and trying to paint people's models if I wanted that, or making other little dioramas and selling them, but I'm also enjoying it doing it for myself, and that's who it really matters at the end of the day, is doing it for yourself. Are you happy with the product you made? If not, do what you can to make it better so that you do become happy with it. Don't become like too obsessed to try and make it perfect, because nothing will ever be perfect. I think that is the second layer on almost everything done. Could add a bit more over here. I also gotta keep in mind how much light is actually hitting these models. Because I think about it. So like that. Nope, not that one. This one. Yeah, this side needs to be hit more. And then the other side can definitely hit over here a little bit. I think just to use up the paint, I'll hit it a little bit more. Oh, excuse me. little bit more, and then we're done with this color. And then we can move up to the next one. Let's see if I can actually get this shaken up. I have a fly flying around my desk. Is Nurgle deciding to visit? I don't like it. Get out of here. It's not really doing what I hoped, but okay. Next one I'm doing is Desert Highlight. Let me just get Desert Effects. I think we're just going to hit all this. This will definitely get me the color I'm looking for. Still want to see some of the color from underneath. I don't think I have to do as many layers with this one this time. Because I still want that, like, darker yellow to come through. But I definitely do add a few layers. This whole process is nothing but dry brushing. Like, that's all I'm pretty much doing because I have such a rough, like, paint terrain on it. It's nothing but just dry brushing on like every layer little by little, which gets a little mind numbing. But also by the end of it, it does look a lot nicer too. I wonder, like, if I should hit the whole base with a wash by the end of it, or if it's only selective areas. I'll probably hit the whole thing. It'll just take a lot of stuff. What'll happen is, like, whatever wash I put down will just get absorbed into every little crack and crevice and disappear and look like I have had no wash added to it whatsoever. I'm glad I have this cheap brush to be able to do this with. When it kind of comes to dry brushing, I'd rather use a cheaper brush that I'm not really going to care about too much than one of my more expensive, nicer brushes. Although expensive to me is like $10. And I'm pretty sure there's more expensive brushes than that. I think it's a good mixture of like the desert highlight and stuff on it. I can still see the black underneath, but it's definitely... I can see some of the black. I can definitely see the desert base. I can also see the highlights coming through very nicely. It's been a long week. I don't think I've had a day off since Sunday, and I'm looking forward to actually having a nice day off at some point. I'm in a weird scenario where I feel like I don't have enough time to do any of my projects. I just want to like call off work for like a day or two and be like, I need time to do all my other BS. I am behind on so many things. I've been using streaming as an excuse to still put out content on the channel, and I really do want to put out a video. But I also get home and I'm like, I want to play Minecraft. I want to play Minecraft with my friends. I want to do this game or that game with my friends. I want to do this thing instead. And those are just excuses. I gotta sit down and actually do it. You'll find out like what I do a lot is I complain about the same things like 5 times. At least like during my work day or when people know me entirely, because you know, where I'm from, all people do is complain. And I try to be very a positive, happy person. You can only do that for so long before you just kind of need to let yourself be. Just be you. I'm not saying I am a negative Nelly every single second. It's just like complain about life to complain about life. I'm gonna let that sit for a second. I'm gonna let my dog out real quick. And then when I get back, I'll decide if I want to do another layer of that highlight or if I want to move up to the next one. Okay. I do need to add a little bit more of that color. I need to make this flat section look like desert. Can I stipple stuff? Probably. I'm being buzzed for some reason. Why are people messaging me? I think that's good for the base right there. We'll move up to this desert effect, I guess. And we'll go from there. try to shake these up beforehand, but they're also kind of getting old. Need this to be like the lightest color, but this is all just a very weird skin color to me. Like, this is just weirdly skin. Makes me a little bit uncomfortable. I think that's coming together pretty well. I think that's coming along really well. That actually has worked a lot better than just like dabbing a bunch of paint. Okay, okay. I see, I see. I will keep trying that. On one side, and just take a brush slightly on the other side. Huh. It's going well. Thank you for asking. It's going for well. I've just been doing a lot of dry brushing right now, trying to make this look like a bit of a, well, trying to make it look like a desert. Going through a very slow process with that. Yeah. Besides that, this little diorama piece ooh, I like that name. That's a good name for a Chaos Marine badge. The Hollowed Watch. I like that. Yeah, this little diorama piece I am making for a art competition that I'm a part of on Instagram. I have until like the end of the month to get it finished. I'm glad because the deadline was end of May. Luckily it got extended. I did have the project done, then I found out a couple things I did don't apply to the rules. Like, this is just the extension. This is the piece I initially worked on. I painted up this Space Marine, and all this stuff. And I found out it was in the rules later that I realized, but I don't keep up with the chat they have there. That dead bodies only count as terrain for it. So and the minimum amount of models you need are 2. So I painted up this guy. I had him started beforehand, but I finished him up last stream. And then I did some magnets and got him set up on the base here. And set this up, and during the stream I went through and I gone through and I added everything else. The idea is that this is a guardsman outpost, small outpost, not like a little trench that got overrun by Tyranids. These Space Marines came in and cleaned up a little bit. I have it set up so this guy can come off and I can put him on the other base he comes with. This is the Space Marine captain with a relic shield. Really, any Space Marines that come with like shields and swords are kind of my favorite ones right now. So this is my favorite like Space Marine captain model. And then this is like a blade guard that I decided will look like a blade champion or maybe a lieutenant. Although if I'm going to do lieutenant, I have to do certain stripes on his head. But I like that lore. That is some nice lore. So an Ultramarine successor chapter who turned into chaos after their homeworld got caught in the... I've heard that said before. I'm not going to try pronouncing it because I will butcher that word. And now resides in the demonic ocean world. So they are... Or their world became a demonic ocean world, or they're in the warp. I guess either way is how I've interpreted it. It's a nice bit of lore. I like that. I was going to say, my guys are just... I found them on, like, Warhammer 40,000 Homebrew Wiki, and they're a homebrew successor chapter of the Dark Angels called the Seraphim of the Abyss. They're like a fleet-based chapter right now, and they were kind of... They hit most of the checkpoints what I was looking in for a Space Marine chapter. I started with, like, Salamanders, but then I wanted to make my own custom Space Marine chapter using Dark Angels, Salamanders, Space Wolves, and Iron Warriors. The 4 Space Marine chapter legions that I like the most. Although now I've probably put it toward 3 instead of 4 chapters I like. Space Wolves have gone down on my ranking of chapters I like. Not saying they're a bad chapter. Just their aesthetic doesn't hit as hard as it used to for me. So, that is where I stand with all this stuff. Although, they do have some pretty dope models, because I got the Space Marine box that came out. No, not the Space Marine. The Space Wolf box that came out a while ago. And I should build those models at some point. But I'm probably going to kit bash them into, like, Salamander or Dark Angel. Probably split it either way. Okay, so they found a demonic world that they now call home. Got it. Got it. Demonic Ocean World. I would love to hear a story on a demonic ocean world like that. I know there's a Salamander successor chapter, I think called like the Krakens or Black Kraken, something like that. And they come from an ocean world, and they are a big like Monster Hunter style chapter. I'm interested to know like what type of creatures spawned from that much warp taint on a demonic ocean. That's what interests me. That's how I look at the Dark Angels being very much like, not so much to the line of Black Templars in that whole manga aspect. I'm very much a fan of like medieval fantasy stuff, so the Dark Angels kind of appeal to me for that. I like Viking stuff. Just Space Wolves. They got that Viking aesthetic, but that's not the only thing they are. Their armor almost doesn't speak like enough Viking to me, weirdly enough. So some of their character models are definitely more Viking-like, but some of their basic units not as much. Like I would think of like every infantry model having fur and stuff, and I can make them have that just by doing it myself. It's just a preference, what I've slowly changed to. Damn, am I done with this paint and I haven't even realized it yet? That is a good list. Demon Krakens. I like the addition of shiny Gyarados. I have seen some fan art of like Gyarados rising out of a storming sea and it be a massive Leviathan creature. Almost like Jormungandr from Norse mythology. I butchered that name a little bit, but weird pirate sea demons, chaos up. Chaos wow, I am stuttering on it. Worshipping sailors / submariners. Ooh. Oh, here's a question. Is a spaceship just a submarine for space? Like, in my mind, that's almost how I would for someone who doesn't know what a spaceship is but knows what a submarine is, that's how I would describe it. Well, I mean, yes, a spaceship is in the air, but the premise being is they both are a tube. I mean, a plane, I guess, is the same way. The plane comes back down to Earth. They're a tube that travel through a vast space in a three-dimensional space. But going back up to your other message, I like the idea of Jormungandr being something they stole from the Space Wolves. I think that's a really cool idea. I haven't really thought of any ship names for like my stuff. But I gotta go let my dog in real quick, and so I will say I'm now done with the desert base. I can move over to I can do the walls and the other bits for the model. So the other bits being, like, I have a couple skulls there. I have some guardman arms I laid down. So that's what I have so far. I need to get the grays and stuff for the wall. I think I'm going to go from, like, a deep gray. Yeah, I'm just going to use my 3 grays. Yeah, go from like deep gray up to ash gray. Okay. I got that all nice and shaken up. Is this wet enough? Or not wet, I mean dry. That's dry enough. Glad I have this cheap dry brush to do this. So, Mr. Jake, I do have a question. What is the color scheme for your Chaos Marines? I know you said they're an Ultramarine successor chapter that got turned into Chaos Marines. Do you have a particular color scheme in mind? I should have done the gray first and then blue and white shoulder pads, gold trim. Wouldn't that look like World Eaters? Like during the Horus Heresy? So I'm not dissing the color scheme. I'm just putting a reference in my mind. What would be Sub-Space Marines B? They would be the Space Sharks. They would be the Space Sharks. That is what... Yeah, the like old Warhounds. Because I think they were like a white body, blue shoulder pads. They did have like a red face, from what I've seen, and gold trim. But I'm not saying that's exactly what you're copying. That's just what I'm pulling as a reference. Like in my brain. I'm curious, have they made a... Now, I understand the chapter master for the Space Sharks is, like, Tiberos. Have they actually made a model for him? Or have people just kit bashed, like, a Terminator model to look like him? Because I know he's got some, like, gnarly weapons from what I've heard. He's got, like, chainsaws in his palms. Okay, that's fair enough. Like an old... I've not built anything with Forge World, but... I'll have to look up that channel. I don't know that channel off the top of my head. Major Minis. They called him Shark Daddy. Yeah. I haven't done anything with Forge World at all yet, or anything. Like, I want to get Forge World models at some point, but I don't know... Oh, it's a store. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't keep up with many... I'm as much as I will complain about GW's pricing on minis and all that stuff, I do buy straight from GW. Although I have bought stuff on Etsy before. I have like a set of initially being... I was going to use them in my guard army as Kriegsmen, but I might make a custom Trench Crusade army with them. I have to look more into Trench Crusade. It's definitely a genre I'm interested in. But I will have to check that channel out as well. I think I've heard about it a little bit here and there before. That some people have gone models off that store and have used them. definitely... I'm kind of surprised how quick I'm going with this process. I'm hoping it's looking good. To me, it looks good. To everyone else, it could look not as good. Because this is a thing that's getting voted on by the community, not by the... There's no, like, judges. The community is the judges for this piece I'm working on. I know I've said this before. I think I will get a 3D printer at some point and start printing off my own minis. I know by now if I had one, I would have saved a lot more money on models if I just 3D printed them instead. But it's also like a lot of space and stuff from what I hear, and I want to get a resin printer, and they have chemical, like, it's dealing with like a caustic chemical, the smell and stuff. So those were things on why I haven't gotten one yet. The switch up to a different brush after this. I almost want to paint these gardening bits to match the desert effect, but I think I will try to do them in like the Valhalla color scheme. Initially, I wanted to do like a Valhalla army, but I might change it up and do something on my own. Okay. I think that's all been painted pretty well. Get that brush nice and clean. I'm sure there is. I was going to kit bash some Cadian models with Kriegsman to get that long coat look, but then have like the helmets and stuff from the Cadians. That's was my thought process on how to make them. And then I could use the heads from the... Wow, I completely forgot their name, and I just said it a moment ago. The Kriegsman for something else. Although I do have a Kriegman kill team that I gotta finish painting. I've had that for a while, and it needs to be done. But I'll have to take a look. There is one... There is a model on Etsy I want to get. It's a Tyranid model that looks like a Norn queen. It's like $140 on Etsy. And I think for height-wise, it's as tall, so from my base on where I'm painting to like where the camera is, I think that's as tall it is. And that's about 2 feet, roughly, under 2 feet. And I would run it as a Bio Titan. And I would only use it as like a one person's entire army versus this one model. Unless like they had something that could take out a Bio Titan. Like a knight or something like that. Then I would add some more stuff. But I also don't need to spend that much on a model either. Although with that being said, some of the like Chaos Primarchs are so expensive. Like, the Lion and Guilliman are 70, but then all the Chaos Primarchs are 170. And I'm like, why are they $100 difference? Is it because the models are bigger and they have, like, more to them? Or are they around the same size? These are questions I have to ask because I do want to do a Primarch collection at some point. I'm just going to start with the one Primarch I do have, though. But going back a step, the reason why I wanted to do a Valhallan army is because I was listening to Kaivis Kane books. And in like his first book, he's a part of Valhallan Regiment, and other stories after that, he's a part of the same regiment. So they kind of grew on me because of that. And I come from a snowy, cold place. At least in the winter, it is snowy and cold. And their coats are like a dark blue fur, and I love that style coat, so that's why I wanted to go with an army like that. But I've been yapping for a little bit. Are you guys working on any cool model projects? Because I know for myself, besides this piece, I'm like sorting through my personal Space Marine army and separating it into a Salamander and Dark Angel army. And I'm like going to be trying to figure out how to paint those and decide what models go to what. I think I got like the kill team. I got my buddy's kill team here. He's doing a Chaos Space Marine kill team that I'm painting up for him. We're slowly building him up to 500 points to do a Combat Patrol one. Okay, I'm going to start with Fat Man's and then I will go to Jake's. When the time comes, I want to make a retro style Orc Boys with the boys kit and the... I think that's the Tactical Marine kit. I'm not fully sure, but that... I'm interested to see that done when you get that built. And then going down to Jake's, working on your Chaos Marines. Other than that, playing Cyberpunk. I have not played Cyberpunk yet. It's a game I thought about trying. Never got around to it. I'm sure my computer can run it fine now. But I've also played like other games that interest me. Games like Cyberpunk I don't really stick with for long. I enjoy games like that. It's just I get bored very easily because I don't like doing the main story in any sort of game like that. I forget it. No, Cyberpunk's not a PlayStation exclusive. For some reason, I thought it was. I've heard the graphics are very good. It's a game I want to try. I just don't sit down and play games enough, I would say. Although I have been taking more time. For myself, I've been playing a lot more Minecraft. Hi, Roy. What's up? Why are you whining? My dog is whining at me. But I've been playing more Minecraft because I'm working on build projects for that. I tried a game called Path of Titans. I really like that. I want to play that again, but I can also... I'll play that for a couple hours. I sit down to like play a game like, okay, we're only going to spend like 30 minutes doing something. and I'll start at like 7 o'clock, and then it's like, oh, 11:30. I've spent 3 hours just doing these couple things. So. I might have to hit those again with that darker paint again. I might have made it too light. I've been more focusing on coding the whole thing and less on like remembering what's actually supposed to be light or not. I am getting very happy with that. I know it's such a stark difference going from like the light skin tone color of the desert to the gray. But I like to think that's some rockcrete they brought in to build this fortification with. In reality, it would be sandbags, so it would also be that very sandy color. The sandbags I have are like big bits of clay I turned into sandbag shaped. Okay, getting that last one all shaken up. I think the next big project after this is I'm going to build myself a kill team board for me and my friends. I have plenty of terrain for it, but I want to do a custom board. I'm debating between a few different styles. I am inspired by European streets right now to like make the board like designed off that. Like I want to mix it between, but I've also been walking around like the in quotes big city near where I live, and it's got a bunch of brick buildings, so there's not a lot of skyscrapers, but it's like tall brick buildings and old like kind of carved buildings. Carved is not the right word, but they're not marble either, but they're more, I want to say mosaic, but not mosaic. But they got that like European style. So I wanted to do a mixture of like peasant world in 40K with like some bits of science, like pipes popping out of places here and there. Okay, I usually go with an heavy metal style. I can't enjoy other styles of painting, but if I were to attempt other methods, it wouldn't like it right to me, so I stick. Yeah, that's fair enough. If you have something you like, then you know you don't have to change it. Everyone has their own style of things they like to do and all that. I just get influenced by so many things easily. I think one of my favorite bits of 40K art, and it might not even be a piece of 40K art that I'm thinking of, but it's in this like dystopian peasant planet, I would say. And there's just this farmer working in a field. And then off in the background, there's just like a knight or a mech walking by. So you have someone who's working with medieval tools to harvest a field, and there's just giant mech walking by. And to me, that is a very good description of, like, I wouldn't say 40K, but of, like, kind of grimdark-ish. Maybe not even grimdark, but I just like that. Feudal worlds. The word I was trying to think of was feudal worlds. Thank you. I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. Yes, I was trying to talk about feudal worlds, but I couldn't remember what they were called. Thank you very much. I think I haven't dealt with many books involving feudal worlds. I think one of them, and it was a Dark Angel book. Well, Feudal Night World. I think they didn't have Serval Skulls. They, like, had specific people that were, like, red-skinned and could remember all this information. But that's a whole different story to it. I think I want to call the walls done, but I think I should hit them with that darker color just a little bit. Nothing crazy, just kind of stipple it. It's almost too light. It's not stony enough. Like, yes, I've worked with concrete. Concrete's a pretty uniform color, but I don't always think of these as being concrete. Sometimes you do have, like, darker bits here and there. I do apologize for the shaking camera here and there. My setup is not the best. Oh no, I'm not talking about. Oh no, I'm not talking about Magnus. If I could pull my phone up and look at it, I would, but it's being my camera right now. From what I remember with the story, it involved a captain from the Dark Angels being turned into a Primaris from a battle. He went to a feudal world that they were at years ago because they were called in. And pretty much, it's just this weird, like, fungus thing that, no, years ago when the Dark Angels were there, they killed someone, or they thought they did, but turns out he fused with a fungus and started infecting, like, the humans and stuff and making this whole thing. Well, another... I probably could. It's just sitting on a stand right now to stop the shaking. But to summarize it, they didn't use Serval Skulls. There was, like, a Mechanicus, like, forge on the planet. And this was a night world. But there's this, like, fungus people were affected with when they're younger. And they could absorb information like a computer. And their job, each one had different jobs. The girl in it was meant to, like, hold all the history and stuff of the planet. And I remember her skin was described as red, and that you could kind of see her... You couldn't see her skull, but it was, like, what the fungus did made her skull more pronounced. That's what I remember from the book. I mean, it's not the full thing. I did feel bad. She did die at the end of the book. And I mean, that it's a grimdark book. Not everyone's going to survive in a book. I've had some very sad books I've listened to. Definitely a Krieg book I listened to was super sad. I think it was like Dead Man Walking or something like that. I think I will be done brushing this style for now. Really, the last thing I have to do, at least dealing with all these little bits, not the helmets and stuff, is adding a wash. But I will deal with that after. Now I'm going to work on the random skulls and fatigue bits here and there. I should also get the paints ready for the Tyranid skull I have right there. I will keep that. Bear with me, I am picking paints. I might use that one, might not though. Oh, and now I do need to pull out my wet palette. I'm going to set you there, and you there. I think my desk is a wobble is because I'm on a folding table and it's not like an actual proper desk. I think I would deal with a lot less wobble from that. Okay, you there and there. Come on, I always forget. I have a couple bottles that the paint doesn't fully go through the little nozzle tips, and I have to like work out the actual nozzle tip to get any paint. I'm pretty sure it's clogged up in it. Yes, I do have a pet in my room right now. I have a my dog is chilling in my room with me right now. It's my sister's dog, but he likes to chill in here with me and be a good boy. Every once in a while, he does whine at me though that he wants attention, so I have to like pet him, which I don't mind. He's a good boy. Another Primarch, besides Sanguinius, I would add to that would be Vulcan. Hi, Rory. What is up? You a good boy. I do know Nocturne is the reason, or one of the reasons why their skin is the way it is, but it's also like Vulcan's gene seed makes them have that dark complexion. Okay, pings down. That needs to be cleaned. Mr. Pool. Mr. Pool. Good boy. It would be kind of funny if the Thousand Sons had all the red skin like Magnus, but also Magnus decides to have red skin. He's, to my knowledge, the only Primarch that can actually change his appearance because he's such a strong Psyker. But if that is wrong, I do not mind being proven wrong. Done painting for the night. I need to clean my brushes. Yeah, red with decent brushes. I have to take a double take on reading your comment. It has come to my attention that Dante would be a Silver Fox type outside of the wanting to die. Okay, no, now once I read it out loud, I understood it. How? Yeah, he was just how he. So I know how Dante is described from reading Lion Son of the Forest, and how he's described is like a man in his 50s, like going gray. Like a good looking man going in his 50s, going gray. Now, I don't blame Dante. He has put up with a lot of stuff. But the Emperor and Sanguinius have plans for him from what I heard. I do want to listen to The Devastation of Baal, and that is on my list. I'm just trying to finish up the Eisenhorn series first before I move to another Space Marine series. The problem is, like, once I start listening to Blood Angels, I'm going to want to paint a Blood Angel army, and I don't want a Blood Angel army for long term. I'm not saying Blood Angels aren't cool. I'm not saying that. Repeat which part? That I need to listen to the Devastation of Baal? Or how, saying, from what I've heard, Sanguinius described as sounds like a guy in his 50s going gray? Or how if I listen to a Blood Angels book, I'm going to want to paint a Blood Angel army, but I don't want a Blood Angel army for a long term. Oh, well, what I was saying is I get influenced by what I listen to for books and stuff, at least for, like, yeah, Warhammer. Like, initially I was painting Salamanders, and then I was listening to Dark Angel books, and now I have a Dark Angel army. I'm happy with Dark Angels. They're one of the chapters I want to go with for long term. Although I do think Blood Angels, some of their models, from what I've heard, have become downgraded. Like the Sanagar Guard. I'm butchering words, and I know that. But like initially they had real wings, and now it's like jetpack style wings. And some people are upset by that. Trying to give that a little bit of that color. Okay, you got me interested. I'm gonna look up that name real quick. Every once in a while, you guys say a name and I get interested. Oh. Okay. First, I'm going to say, damn you. This is a cool chapter. At least their color scheme and stuff. I just looked up. I see they're a Dark Angel successor chapter. And they do have a cool scheme. I like that. Mostly black, but green accents here and there, and white eyes. I like the Spartan style. What's going on? Hopefully the stream quality doesn't go down too bad. It's just letting me know that it did. But no, that's a cool chapter. I like that. I know my normal, at least this guy that I did, he's also a, I'm assuming the one you said is an official chapter. Mine is a homebrew one, which I'm a little bit sad about. I'm sad it's a homebrew one. I was hoping mine was an official one. I'm not saying all the official ones are bad looking, just none really popped out to me yet. Although one kind of has. I will go through and read their lore after this. Lore important role, which that intrigues me, and strange fact about it. I will read and be more informed for the next stream and find out what's going on with them. But yeah, like, mine's the Seraphim of the Abyss, and they're just like a homebrew chapter, and I love them. I love the color scheme. It's just like, I like also having official stuff. Okay, what am I doing next? I distracted myself. From painting. What I am going to do next, I'll do the fatigues. Ooh, I like that color scheme as well. Is that a Blood Angel successor chapter, or is that another Dark Angel one? Because it's almost similar. It's not exact, but like to the Dark Angels. Okay. Kind of sounds similar to like the Risen or the, I want to say Angels of Redemption, but that might not be right. But there's another one that's like black, red, and white, though. And their rebs. Same. I love the Lion as well. The Lion's like book, the one that came out with him, was the first 40K book I read or I listened to. I have the Lion's model sitting on my shelf built, unpainted, because I don't feel like I'm good enough to paint him yet. I I love their aesthetic. That's fair enough. I think with the most recent lore, to my knowledge, I don't know, what happened in Arcs of Omen and all that, that the Lion would tell his sons, like, hey, not all the Fallen are bad. And obviously, like, some successor chapters differ. I know it's just the main Dark Angel chapter that is worried about the Fallen. And, like, the Unforgiven chapter. Or Unforgiven chapters, which, like, my homebrew one is like that. I think when I play, I almost made, like, a Risen chapter, but I'm not a fan of red. I like blue more, so I went with a more blue color scheme. But if I didn't dislike red, I would have made like a Risen one and used 30k models with 40k ones to make an army like that. Which I was saying earlier, I have enough models to make like another Space Marine chapter, so I'm deciding to split some of my models into a Salamander army as well. And in my head, for lore wise, the reason why they work together, or like I'm coming up with reasons why they work together, because I know the Dark Angels are super secretive and don't like their secrets out. And in my head, I'm like, well, what would be the reason for these two working together? And maybe my Salamanders have secrets that they don't want to share with people, but they'll share with the Dark Angels because you're like, hey, you know about what's going on with us. We'll help you in your thing as long as you don't tell anyone, and we won't tell anyone either. And they might work as distractions to let the Dark Angels do their own thing. And my brain just started going down this rabbit hole of like, okay, I like this idea. I can see how this works. So I'm probably going to do like the Salamanders being more of a heavy tanky army, with Terminators, Flamers being more of that distracted one. And when I do Dark Angels, they're more the secretive, like, spy-like Space Marines. Not fully Raven Guard, but more in like a precise mission to get this one thing done. And when they have to work together, they'll work together. Or they more choose to work together as a chapter. And maybe over time, their gene heat gets mixed together. Who knows? I'm just saying that might happen. Not saying it will. Not saying it has. But you didn't hear that from me, and if you did, you are getting servitude. I'm sorry, I don't like the rules, it's just how it happens. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, I know the new Kill Team box is coming out with servitors, and I just said that earlier, so I might actually, I was going to give the servitors to a friend who wanted to do an AdMech army. In none of the books I read that's true, but I've heard that's the case. I mean, hell, I wanted to make a chapter using 4 different legions gene seed, those being Space Wolf, Dark Angels, Iron Warriors, and Salamanders. And then I went down this whole rabbit hole, and now I'm at where I'm at now. This is like when I first got into it, like into Warhammer and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Call has had has been working on this project for 10,000 years to my knowledge. I haven't read any of those books, so my knowledge is not confirmed on that. All knowledge I have is from Isander and Coda on this subject. I definitely need to do the research into it. I'm just doing it slowly my own way. Yeah, no, that's what I realized early on. So what happened is I was like, okay, what do I like from each of those chapters? And then I was making something with that. And then I was doing the paint scheme for Iron Drakes, but kind of twisting it my own way. And then I just kind of went from like, okay, I'm going to look up like our Dark Angels chapter and start homebrewing that. And then last stream, someone was like, well, why not make, 2 armies? Because you have so many. And like, I have 2 Space Marine armies and they work together like through this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? That's a good idea. And then now I'm at where I'm at. I'm not saying they are the same, just mix-ups happen. It's more of an excuse on why I have 2 different color armies playing on the board. Or at least why I would. But yeah, I was very ambitious when I first got into the hobby. I believe 2 things with the Minotaurs. Yes, I believe they're an Iron War successor chapter. But I also want to kind of think that they're Thunder Warriors that have just survived to modern day with a couple like modifications here and there. I should not be using this paint for this. I should be using it up here. I like the idea if they... Well, I've heard the Minotaurs have been really bad to the Ultramarines. But it would make more sense if they were fighting with the Imperial Fist more than the Ultramarines. But I like the idea of it being them being Thunder Warriors that just got Space Marine modifications. They're not pure anymore, but they're similar because they are stronger than Space Marines. It's why they steal their stuff. I will admit, Yeah. Well, I didn't know they needed the Gene Seed to fix their issues. The idea started from like Isander and Coda's Patreon, and I like the idea of it. Honestly, I think if they did Iron Warrior Gene Seed into the Minotaurs that are Thunder Warriors, that would be both of them coming together. And it would be why they dislike Space Marines so much. Because they're not as strong as Custodes. I haven't read any books on where they sit going against a Custodes or not, but I know like Custodes didn't know if he'd be able to beat them. He would, with how I've heard Custodes are, and especially I read or I've listened to Valdor Birth of the Imperium and Valdor's fight with an Iron Warrior, with a Thunder Warrior. I don't think that's too far off. So, a Custodes can beat a Thunder Warrior. It would just be a tougher fight than fighting a Space Marine. Which I know Valdor's like the best of the Custodes. And he was fighting like the Primarch of the Thunder Warriors, which Primarch is just a rank. It's not like an actual gene better soldier. Actually, that blue helped me there. I've also heard it's like the Minotaurs are like clockwork oranged. They just take whoever and just add to their ranks, and supposedly their chapter master has died, but also he hasn't. So it's just like they grab someone new and just make him the chapter master by putting in the memories. Yeah, that's the scene I was thinking about. Which I was just talking about, the chapter master maybe being like clockwork orange every time. Ooh, okay, this is my brain thinking back. This would be a super old character if this was the case. But that Primarch that Valder fought, and again, Primarch being the rank the Thunder Warrior was. What if he is the chapter master to the Minotaurs, and he's just survived this long? He would be way older than 10,000 years. Because he did survive the book. He made it to like a farm in the middle of Africa. In the end of like Valador, Birth of the Imperium. He would be super augmented, which maybe he's got so many robotic parts. That's why he supposedly dies but comes back. They just plug in his memories into a new body. I'm probably wrong. But, you know, stranger things could have happened in the Imperium. Yeah, that is true. Custodians are like near perfect. Okay, thought popped in my head. Now that we're talking about it, I'm thinking about it. They must somehow upload his memories to the new body every single time. So the reason why he's able to come back like with an infinite loop, kind of, just not in the same body. So he's got the memories from his previous lives. Did he get... Okay, I didn't know that. I haven't read anything about Dante becoming a Primaris or anything like that. That is very interesting to know. Ooh, okay. Odd thought, and we're going to move away from like Space Marines, but we're going to talk about their dad at the same time. The Lion is older now, and he feels slower. And he's had 10,000 years of just being asleep. Well, what if they can Primaris a Primarch? Would that de-age the Lion to be slightly more in his prime? Oh, yeah, that's definitely true, because the only, to my knowledge, only Space Marine that's 10,000 years old is Bjorn from the Space Wolves. No, he's over 10,000. And any other Space Marine that is older than that is usually from Chaos during the Horus Heresy, or they're stuck in Trajan's Vault. I am trying to get this guy looking similar to this other woman. To my knowledge, the custodies do age. It's really slow. So, I've heard that a custody can slow down with age and they go into Secret Service. I'm going to assume your knowledge is better than mine, though, in this. Because I haven't read many books. I'm only like a year into being a part of Warhammer. Like, just over a year. So I've not read many books. I've not painted many models of... I'm still at the top of the iceberg of, like, lore... of Warhammer lore and learning. But to my knowledge, they notice when they slow down, and they get put into, like, Secret Service, kind of. Where they can go and collect information, and then they will send other custodians out to, like, go. Because, I mean, the custodians don't have the same leader from when they first started. Like, obviously, they don't have Valdor, and who knows where Valdor is. Although that's kind of why I'm trying to learn about, like, the Yellow King... or the King in Yellow in Warhammer. I don't remember its name. It's the reason why I'm reading the Eisenhorn books. Because I want to learn some stuff. That's good there. I definitely... I don't know. I'm glad I'm correct with official sources. Like I will always say on this channel and in real life, go and check, go and do the research for yourself, go and check things for yourself. Because going off of what someone else says all the time is how you get misinformation and just a bunch of lies. That's how I try to live my life a little bit, is making sure I'm correct. So I always I try to double check my sources, and I will say, this is where I heard this from. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. There are custodians that do remember the Horus Heresy and are now in, like, retirement. And the 10,000, to my knowledge, is just a name. There is more than 10,000 custodians made. No one really knows the official number. But there's always at least 10,000. And the reason why custodians aren't used all the time is because they're very expensive to make compared to Space Marines. And again, this is compared to Space Marines. Like, a Space Marine from what I heard, you can have like 100 aspirants and get 1 Space Marine from it. A Custodes, you need like a planet's worth, maybe 2. But I am talking out my ass at the moment. Like I don't know officially, and I don't know at all. I am liking how this is turning out. This is looking really nice. For all those that are new here and just are kind of like, oh, Space Marines are mass-produced because, yes. Okay. I'm going to say 2 things. I'm first going to finish my first thought is, for all those that are new here and watching, curious what I'm doing, I'm working on an art competition piece that is, for myself, due by the end of January. It's a little diorama. It needs at least 2 models. I was initially doing just this guy. Then I was told that dead bodies only count as terrain. So I made a secondary model. I had this guy kind of made up already, and I finished him last stream. And we started the base from last time. So that's what I'm working on here. And I'm just letting all the new... I'm sure you guys have been here for a bit and listened to me say it a couple times. But anyone that's new here, that's what I'm doing. Yes, Space Marines are mass-produced, in quotes, mass-produced. Custodes are art. I'm trying to remember what I was going to say on that. Oh, yeah. I knew back in March. So, I actually had this done in May. And I started this back, like, before May. With the amount of time I've had, this guy was pretty much already painted and set up. Which his arms are magnetic and stuff. So, this guy I didn't spend as much time on as I did this one. All this I've completed in this stream. And I think by tonight I will have it done to, like, I'm actually done and I can submit it. When I first started the whole project, I had many different ideas. I should have sat down and written down what I wanted. Because initially I was going to do, like, a giant orc monster from, like, Age of Sigmar that looks like a dragon. Have, like, 4 Space Marine characters fight it. And it was going to be based off myself and my friends that play Monster Hunter. We're all going to have, like, special weapons. Then I found out you can have no more than 3 models. So then I switched it to just going to be like 2 Space Marines. And then I stopped midway through that. And then I was scrolling through Amazon, found this model, built it and painted it. Within, time-wise, I would say a week. If I had to say actual days of paint time, probably 5 days. To get them to look like this. And then I showed it, messaged, like, the guy that ran it, and then he was like, hey, it needs to be like this and this. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next, kind of a bit more procrastinating, got busy with work and stuff. And also, because I wanted to make it be a video, I waited till then. So, yeah. By tonight, I will, in my mind, have this done. Or at least I will do some stuff off stream. So it's going to be a much longer stream than normal. Me yapping and chatting is not making it get done any quicker. So, with that being said, the next step. So I get some. I'm going to do metallic paint on the shoulders. Maybe. We'll use gunmetal. We'll use gunmetal. I lost my train of thought on what I was going to say for Custodes and Space Marines. Oh, no, now I remember. Custodes are like the human body taken to its max. Like, in any category, a Space Marine is min-max. Is a Custodes that's min-maxed? No, a Space Marine that's min-maxed, a Custodes is taken to its logical extreme. Pretty much the Space Marine they took, they went, huh, I wonder what I can cram into a human before they absolutely die and can't function anymore. Well, turns out quite a bit, and they made the Space Marine, but with the Custodes, they don't have a lot of medics, from what I understand. It's a lot of gene crafting. They're gene crafted to be like the perfect weapons. Not even weapon. They're like being, I guess. I don't even want to use being correctly. I know with Primarchs, they're the two ideas of that coming together. They're what can we cram into a human, but also make them min-maxed. Or not min-maxed, but like the Primarch is just a Custodian and a Space Marine fused together. In the end, like it's the logical extreme of what you can take a Space Marine to with gene crafting. That's how I've understood it and how it's been explained to me. I'm going to have to re-add the blue on top of this. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was trying to say a Custodes is. Sweet. I think I got all the little stuff done. Really, all I have to do is the rock at his foot. And then I gotta make sure this sits in a decent spot. No, that's kind of crowded there, so let's switch it to here. So what I gotta do next, and it would take time to dry once I do this, but I want to take some like Mod Podge or PVA glue and put it around in spots here and there. Actually, I could. The idea is I want to give it a blood effect, and I kind of did that here. So a couple spots would be green with the Tyranid blood, and a couple spots will be red with like the human blood and stuff. I think I'm going to go through and add the human blood next, which I'll actually use a paint I haven't used before in a while, and it's been sitting in my drawer. I'm going to use some blood for the blood god. I haven't used this since I first started painting. I used to use this for the purity seals, and I put it on like the chain swords for my assault marines here. So we are going to try. I'm going to try and add in color, and then when I do the PVA, maybe the color will show through below is the hope. It takes, like, depending on how much I use, 2 days for it to fully dry. But I can always put some down, paint it on top, and then put some more down below. And that would get me that little blood shine look that I'm looking for. I appreciate all that have stuck around and watched me. I know this has been not the most riveting stuff, but you folks have kept me entertained through all of this. Would I be doing this if you guys were here? Yeah, but this also allows me to talk to people and chat about Warhammer with someone. And I enjoy it. I wanted to actually take this hand and make it look more... No, it does need to look bone white because... See, the acid stuff ate it. I could take some green stuff. Oh no, if I was going to do that, I should have done that in the beginning. I was going to say I could have taken green stuff and made it look like shredded flesh. I will actually let it dry and see how it turns out. I think this technical paint might actually work pretty well. It might be just the Tyranid blood that I will have to make it look a lot more glossy. That guy looks like a Khorne demon's horns. What I just did for the blood. That was not intentional, but I love it. Yeah, you know what? Oh god, that is gory as hell. I love it. I will have to take a picture of this and post it to my Discord. I do have a Discord if people want to join. It's completely free. I wanted to make a little spot for crafters, hobbyists to go and post and kind of share their crafts and stuff with everyone and just be a cool spot to hang out. But I also have an Instagram page as well that at some point I need to post on as well. I don't know how true it is if Tyranids would leave behind body parts in a very bloody scene. I'm sure they would. But I also think like the Rippers would come in and like eat everything. I gotta do more stuff like this. I'm gonna do more dioramas like this in the future. Not even for competition stuff, but just for myself. Love it. I am loving how this is turning out. I'm sure there's not... I mean, I know there's a lot of blood in the human body, but I'm sure it's not like as much as I'm putting down. Okay. I think I'm done with the human blood. Now I gotta move over to the bug's blood. I know it's getting late, but we can push it. So we'll start with this one. Okay. It seems like that's where the head got decapitated. I'm just gonna pat it a little bit. Did the music finish up? It did. Damn, we're going at this for 3.5 hours. We got it. I'm going to push through and I'm going to finish this tonight. That is my goal. I am finishing this project tonight, and I'm very close. I feel very close to finishing it. So we're just going to add a little bit of green blood over here. I know it doesn't look as bloody as the technical paint, but I'm considering this being the Tyranid blood. It's a little bit acidic, so let's say it's eating through the stone. Cool. Now I will move up in the next brightest color. That is hard as a rock. Guess I gotta get actually some green paint. Not that one. You know, I'll go up with the next brightest. No, not next brightest, the brightest. Cool. I hope everyone's enjoying their evening. I have been having an awesome time hanging out with everyone here. I hope everyone's enjoying their weekend and doing something at least fun. Just gonna say for myself, I might go on a hike this weekend. I mean, besides painting this, which this is fun for me, I might go on a hike, get outside, get some fresh air, touch some grass, get some inspiration. Maybe a little bit of determination. It looks so much darker compared to the rest. I gotta hit it with the wash. Damn. What brush do I have that will work? This one will work. I think I used a strong toned wash on that base here and not this other one, but I'm going to keep using this desert wash. Very much of a rust effect it's given. Damn, Roy, could you be any louder? God, it looks like there's so much blood added now to the base. It's not even supposed to be blood. It's supposed to be like a desert wash, I guess, but it's got so much of a red tinge to it. It's just added to that effect. Okay. How does this all look together now? I guess I didn't really need to do that corner, but I might. Throw a little bit of the wash in here, and I probably will throw it on this base as well to make them all look very similar. I want to know which one it considers it's equal, but put that all down. There's a little bit of stone. I might use that if I ever do a red brick building. Noted for the future. I want to throw it on this base as well. I think. I am almost finished with this piece. Just adding a little bit of wash to places. And then, yeah. Okay, I just gotta do the rock the other marine is standing on. And then I will be done. I'm not gonna make that be a very intense thing. How does GW always do the tactical rock? Is it just to add a little bit of flair? Like, why can't they just trust the model to actually do the work, or let the hobbyist actually make something? Okay. Let's get this space kind of cleared up, and I will consider myself. I think I'm going to consider that pretty close to done. There is. I'm sure there's a little bit more I could do here and there. I should probably fix up that Marine's eye. And maybe touch up a little bit more. But I'm pretty happy with that. The only last thing I have to do is really glue down the main section here to the base. But I think... And I know it's not the best angle for you guys to see. I'd have to slide it like that. But I think that is pretty good. At least for myself, I feel like that's pretty good. Obviously, you can have your own opinions. But I am happy with it. I will go and pass this along. Yeah. I'm calling that done. That's good. Thank you all for watching and being here and seeing the process. I wish you all a good night or a good morning or good evening wherever you are from. And if you are interested, I do have a Discord. You can join that. We just post and share, whatever, our crafts, memes, really anything that you find as a hobby. That is what the space is for. If you want to like and subscribe, you're more than welcome to, but no pressure. And with that being said, I want you to go out there and make something awesome. I know you will.